And on the line, we have a very special guest, Mike from Lower Level Sports Cards and Collectibles, way up in Winnipeg, Canada. Mike, before we start talking about card, what is the weather like up in Winnipeg, Canada today?
Today we're at -50 with the wind chill. It's probably the coldest day we've had in years. So, but I've got the furnace up here and I'm cozy, and hopefully I can open the door later on in the day. Might be frozen shut, but it is cold. If you're coming, if we ever want to visit Winnipeg, today is, well, if you want to know what Winnipeg is really like, it's a great day to come. But it's not always like this, but it is cold.
Oh my good! You just said -50 wind chill. That is not even something I can comprehend, like in my head. What you just said there. So Winnipeg's a pretty big city. I did some Google searching. It said maybe 700,000 people. I don't know if that's accurate or not. So Winnipeg's obviously very cold this time of year. What else? What else is it like for somebody? I grew up in California and currently live in Arizona. So what would you tell? And I've never been to Canada. What would you tell somebody like me?
Well, I think the big thing, especially in winter, one thing that really gets us through the winter is that we have an NHL hockey team again, the Winnipeg Jets. Last night, my family, we watched the game. Tonight, we're looking forward to another game. That's one thing that really helps us forget about the cold and, gather with friends, whether it be at home or at a bar or a restaurant to watch the game. When it starts, if kids still like going outside and playing hockey, my boys, not last night or today, but they still love going to the rink to play hockey. Obviously, hockey is a big thing here. Baseball is quite big, too, when it comes to playing. There's just in my area, they have one of the Elma Giants. They have history recording back to 1905 here in this area. So in the summer, it gets hot too, and a lot of people leave Winnipeg on the weekends and go to a cabin or a cottage or a lake to fish or to swim. So we've kind of got the extremes. We don't have much. Well, we do have weather kind of milder, like kind of in between, but it's a great place to visit. Winnipeg is growing too. And there, too, a lot of that has to do with what happened with the NHL coming back to Winnipeg. True North, who owns the Jets, they've been building a lot downtown. And there are two friends of mine who had offices downtown. They've just built a building about 10 minutes away from downtown. So it's thriving. I think when someone is willing to, again, the NHL, someone is willing to come into a city and establish it and put money down and say, we want this team to stay, other people take note of that and then put money into the economy, whether it be buildings. It's not all related to the NHL, but people have confidence then. It's like Winnipeg is growing. People with money are coming here. And those of us who have been here for a while, it's like it's even more fun, especially when the playoffs roll around. This year we're looking forward to the Jets winning the Stanley Cup and also then a parade, which we haven't had a big parade for a team since 1990 in Winnipeg, when our CFL Winnipeg Blue Bombers, which is kind of like the NFL in in the States. We really want a Stanley Cup here. So so sports is a big part of Winnipeg, but that's kind of what helps us sometimes on a day like today. We dream of being in the stands in the summer watching football, and then today, it's like, let's just cuddle up and watch some hockey tonight. We're playing the Bruins tonight.
Yeah, it sounds like a perfect night to kind of cozy up and watch a hockey game. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the business and paint a little bit of a picture about your store there in Winnipeg.
Started doing card shows in 1988 with a friend of mine, and continued through that. When I needed money, when I got married, and engagement rings, that came from selling cards. But I always wanted to, and I always got scared about starting a card shop because of the horror stories that you hear about revenue agency going after businesses for taxes and that. And even though I did things the right way, that kind of stopped me, and the accounting part. Then about 8 years ago, my wife just said, I was working at a comic shop. She said, you know what, why don't you try it? Do a business. You've now been in a collectible store. You kind of know the business side of it too, not just the hobby. Why don't you do it? And I've had the inventory for years. I would, about 4 or 5 times since 1992, I got rid of everything that I had just because it was either to open a store or to get rid of it all. That's how much stuff I had. So back in 2012, I decided to pursue this. A friend of mine was going to join me on it, and the day before we signed the lease of the building I'm in, and they're getting back to that. It's an office. It used to be an office space, so it's not it wasn't your traditional layout of a retail store. About 2 years ago, they took some walls down, so it's a bit more open now. But anyway, 2012, I opened on the premise. It was the lockout, actually, year for NHL. And but I realized, hey, there's other sports that are available, and in Winnipeg, working at a collectible store, I knew that people were more not only into hockey, but they were into basketball, baseball, football in Winnipeg. So in my store, if you come in here, I've got every sport represented. I love buying, and to me, my philosophy is if I don't have it, I can't sell it. So anything that comes in, whether it be 90s stuff, which I have lots already, I'll still buy it. And then I try to display it. Like I've got a whole wall of early 90s unopened boxes from all the sports. I've got CFL, Canadian Football League boxes. And then it goes all the way up to the current. For Upper Deck, for instance, I've got from 1990 all the way to current. I think there's only 6 series of hockey that I don't have in stock.
Wow.
And there too, I love the hobby. I like collecting. I try to collect still, but it's hard when I run a store too. And I just want, when people come in here, whether they've been collecting for years or left it or have never collected before, they come in, it's a welcoming environment, and they can look and they're blown away. It's almost like the first time I ever went to a store. I went in, I got overwhelmed, and it was only 200 or 300 square feet. And I ended up just buying the current product, which was 85, 86 OPG hockey at the time. But that's kind of, and yeah, I just, for me, it's not only the cards, it's the people, it's the friendships that arise from having a place like this. And as you build the friendships, then you also find out what people collect, and then you try to help them. So, and there too, inventory-wise, over 5 million cards, singles, unopened boxes, probably at least over 500 different types. And then sets, we have sets from, I guess, the 1950s and up. So anyway, that's a little bit of a kind of how the store is.
Wow, it sounds like quite the destination there in Winnipeg, and anybody that's near or gets up there, wow, it sounds like quite the inventory you have. In terms of the people coming into your store, what are they collecting? Do you have an idea percentage-wise of is it mostly hockey? You mentioned baseball. What percentage of your business is broken down in the sports?
It's probably around 75% hockey, and then 25% probably even break between the 3 others. And there too, that's changed in the last. Well, this is my 7th year now in business. It's changed over those years. The last 2 years, it's been harder for us in Winnipeg to get football and baseball product. We've been severely allocated products, and so I don't get as many of those collectors here anymore because I can't get the current product in, or at least as much as I need for the demand that there is. So, but yeah, when people come in mostly for hockey, but then when they see the other sports too, it's like, oh, I remember collecting this, or for instance, baseball season's coming up now. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Toronto Blue Jay. If he
right.
starts playing, there's definitely going to be a lot more people coming in here for baseball too. So it depends too on what. But in general, it's 75% hockey. But it always depends on what happens on the playing field in all the different sports too.
And do you have a sense, or more of a sense of what these guys are collecting? Are these set collectors? Are they opening packs or boxes? Do you have a breakdown?
All over the place. Saturday is usually, well, Fridays and Saturdays. It's all over. This last Saturday, there were kids in here needing Panini hockey stickers, packs, and also singles to make their set. There was a guy here who collects early '90s football. He just got back into it. He loves Notre Dame, so he was into that. Baseball, we sold a bit of 2016 baseball. It's all over the place, and to me, on my busiest days, it's not just one thing. Here, Matthews, because he's doing so well. Well, Mitch Marner, and because we're in Winnipeg, we've got Patrick Laine. He's not doing so well on the ice as in scoring goals, but there's still that popularity. So we still get that constant people. Do you have that kind of product? And I do. And so we still get people getting that. And there too, most people are getting the stuff with the big rookies from hockey. They're doing it. They're just it's the gamble. They're trying to get that big card. I don't get a lot of those customers. I leave that to the other stores who have been around longer than I have. Here it's been trying to get people who, the lapsed collectors, the kids, the families, those who have never collected before. And there too, when you've never collected before, you come in here, it's like, oh, let's try a bit of this, little bit of this, and then to figure out how we want to collect. And there too, it's all over the place. It's a general answer, but it truly is like that here, and that's what's kept me in business, is to have that much that people can come in and get something of every sport or whatever they collect.
How do you get these people in the door? It's 50 below wind chill today. How are you is it advertising? Is it word of mouth? Is it a little bit of everything? What things have worked for you? You've been in business now for a long time, or 7 years for a card shop. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
How are these people getting in the door?
I think, well, let me just back to, I opened on a Friday, November 30th, 2012. The Monday I get back to the store, open the doors, okay, what am I going to do? How do I get people here? Because it's not like when I grew up, when I visited the States, the first thing I did was went to the yellow pages and checked to see, or the white pages, whatever it's called in your area,
right.
Check to see where are the card shops, and then I begged my parents to bring me to all the card shops. Well, that's not there anymore, so then it was social media. And I'm not a guru when it comes to being on the computer, but I had to learn how to do Facebook, how to do Instagram, how to do Twitter. Kijiji, I'm not sure if you have that down in the States, but Kijiji is a place where you can advertise and sell free. Anyone can do that, whether it be a business or just you're trying to sell whatever you're trying to sell. So I just started plugging away at social media. My wife built me a website. Everything basically, I think the customers that I've gotten, a lot has to do with social media, just trying to be on there every day that I'm open. Weekends, I've stopped doing it just because I need a break too. Social media is just exhausting. I think you know that too.
Right.
As soon as you start it, you can go on rabbit trails and have conversations on there, and you can be on there the whole day. The other thing that's really helped is I'm 5 minutes away from downtown Winnipeg. I don't know. I think it's about 50 to 70,000 people can drive by my store on the way home from work.
Wow.
So I have a little sign in the front of my building, and people see that, and they come in. Sometimes, I still get people who just say, we've seen your sign for years, we've never dropped in, and they come in. And then it's very unassuming when you see my store. It's a brick building. It's you would never think that you'd probably think it's a grungy place with an old guy in there, kind of your stereotypical card shop. But when you come in here, it's whoa, it's not the same as what we see on the outside. So when people come in, it's we want to come in, we love this, oh, we should tell our friends because they've got this, or they need this, or I have hockey from the 90s, so guys come in for current stuff and say, oh, my friends, I remember when we collected this, and they'll tell their friends will come and buy older stuff. So it's a mixture of things, but social media, to me, I don't think I'd be in business if I didn't jump onto that right away and do it as consistently as I have.
Yeah, it's amazing what it can do for a business, and you know, a lot of it is free, especially if you're not paying for Facebook ads or Twitter ads or anything like this. Here's a question I got for you: what's the one product that's you can't sell out of, that you have to always have in stock? It's your best selling product. What's the one thing you can't run out of?
Um, most it would have to be Upper Deck Hockey Series 1 and Series 2 from the current year, and back because I can kind of keep it in stock. And the other thing too is MVP from Upper Deck Hockey. Actually, at this moment, the hobby box, hobby boxes I still can get, but the one thing that I've done since I began was carry retail products like blaster boxes. For two reasons especially. One, it's been far more affordable to keep like children and families to be able to afford the hobby, and the other reason for set building. It becomes far more affordable when you buy the retail to make the set than the hobby boxes, and so the go-to, like, I need to have Upper Deck Series 1, Series 2 MVP in stock, especially the retail. I've got lots of tins of many different years, so those sell weekly, and I'm always looking as where can I pick up more of those products.
Do you think Upper Deck does a good job?
I do. In general, like my family and I, we during the Christmas break, I took 2 weeks off, and almost every evening, I brought something from home or from the store home to open, and a lot of those products were more affordable products that were kind of just sitting there, not selling as fast as I would like to. And there too, if they're opened, I can sell singles. So my family had a blast opening it, and even now we still, like, my oldest boy, who's 17 now, he's saying, "Dad, can you bring home some 18, 19 Upper Deck Series 1? Let's try to get the Pedersen rookie out of there," you know? And so I think they do really well with their product. The different designs, I'm amazed at how their staff can come up with new designs every year and still blow us away with what they're doing with like even Series 1 hockey. The first time I saw the image of Connor Hellebuck from Winnipeg, I thought it was an insert card. It didn't look like just a normal base card. I think they did a phenomenal job. So I think in general, like when it comes to the like hockey cards, like the look of them, I think Upper Deck is doing a great job, and obviously, yeah, they're doing a good job too with coming up with new ideas for sets as well.
Did you want another? The licensing just came up, and I talked with Jason Mashira and Chris Carlin about that actually on our last show. They got the exclusive. Yeah. Did you want another company, Panini Leaf Tops? Did you have a preference if another company got involved?
I would love it if every card manufacturer that wanted to have a license would have a license to make hockey cards. And I would even go further and to say that's for every sport. I think that each company, or the collectors, feed off of all the companies making cards. I think reading about any time that Upper Deck comes up with a new product, usually someone on the comments will say, "We wish you did that for football, baseball, basketball." I think we're missing out in the hobby with exclusives. I think if Upper Deck was able to make other products, other sports, that means that collectors of baseball, they would be able to buy Upper Deck product. I think of Topps Chrome. Oh, that would be so sweet to have a hockey set like Topps Chrome. I know we've got O-Pee-Chee Platinum for hockey, but it's not quite the same as Topps Chrome, and some of the hits too. Topps Chrome, the refractors, the parallels, there's a lot more variety in that. Topps Heritage, that'd be great to have a hockey set based on the old designs of Topps. I miss that. I have a few Topps Heritage boxes from the early 2000s in stock of hockey. Anytime I have that kind of stuff, people like it. They remember that. They love the old designs. So if it's up to me, every company would have the opportunity to have a license. And the other thing is, and this doesn't usually work in business, but kind of a working together on it too. When I worked at a comic shop, every Wednesday was New Comic Book Day. So we'd always get a big crowd on Wednesdays. And so it's 52 Wednesdays in a year. You'd have people coming in there. For cards, if you had everyone doing it, you have to have working together. Otherwise, the money, there's only so much money that everyone has. So, whatever. Let's say everyone did have, could make any sport, all the manufacturers. You'd have to work together so that you don't flood the market. But you grow it. So you continually every year you get new collectors, and then which means that you can make more product, which means each company also makes more. And if the companies make more, and then the PAs make more, the shops make more, we buy more. You know, we feed off of each other. But I would really love it if it wasn't exclusive. And there too, I've kind of given up the fight. I used to email or I had a contact with NHLPA. I told them with Upper Deck. We've had conversations too, and I just say, it is what it is. The only thing I can do is even here, like, you call me and we have this conversation. Just let people know. And for me, I do this, and just to back up, I do this not only for a living, I do it because I love the hobby. And I'm worried for the hobby. Like my kids, they love this collecting, but they don't have the money. There's no way that we'd be opening the products that we do right now if I didn't have a store. And if I had the same salaries I pay myself, there's no way that I can go in to a store and buy like I do and then have our family enjoy opening it. It just doesn't work. So my family, we'd be in the hobby in some way, but there's no way that we would be enjoying it as much as we did if I didn't have the store.
Do some of your customers have the same feelings that the hobby has become too expensive?
Yeah, like I would say, like even in the time that I've been open, I haven't necessarily lost customers, but the customers my customer base is the more affordable, the people who don't have as much to spend in the hobby. I don't bring in all the expensive products because, well, first it's too expensive, and I don't expect, like for instance, the cup. I love the product, but there's no way that I expect my customer to take the gamble at spending $600 to $800 Canadian on a tin with 6 cards. When most of my customers would rather, if they had $800 to spend, they're going to find probably at least 4 different products that they can buy and make the whole set of, like O-Pee-Chee Platinum or MVP or O-Pee-Chee. My customers, there's less and less things that my customers can buy, like in the affordable market. Like for me, I would say it's about $150 a product that I would expect a customer to spend to be able to make the set with inserts with rookies. And I get that number from when in 2011 was probably the last time that before I had a store that I bought product for my kids and I to make sets. And it was Score Hockey, it was Victory Hockey, and with Victory Hockey we bought 5 boxes, we made a few base sets, we made all the insert sets. We didn't have one insert set per, like there was 2 of my sons. I have 5 kids, but at that time it was 2 of my sons and me. We didn't make an insert and rookie set from Victory for each one of us, but we completed the whole master set for $150. Wow. But now they're MVP this year. My family opened $250 Canadian worth of retail boxes, and we were still 12 cards short of the short print set, and we were probably at least half missing half of the inserts, the credential inserts for the set, and we spent $250 on it. And so how my customers who come in, especially with families, they want to make a set. I say, well, the most affordable product is MVP. You can make the base set with 2.5 retail boxes, but if you want to make the whole set, you're probably going to have to spend another $100 in singles to finish the set, or continue to buy, and you're probably going to have to buy another, 15 blaster boxes, and potentially not have a set yet. That's a lot to ask for a family. It's a lot to ask for a child to do that. And I assume for you too. I'm still from the era from 1990 and down. You could buy a box for about, $10 to $30, open it, and make the set. Opichu is a bit different. You need a few boxes, but still at $10 a box, you could open 4 boxes, make a set, and still have lots of doubles to trade with friends and help them make sets. So I'm concerned there's less and less affordable products, and it's the affordable products that get people into the hobby. And where the other thing that gets people in the hobby is where you find cards too. It used to be that you could find cards everywhere. So accessibility is missing from the hobby. In Winnipeg, you can go to card shops. There's about 10 card shops in Winnipeg. And you can go to London Drugs, Walmart, Toys R Us. Those are pretty much the only places that you can buy cards now. 7-Elevens don't have them anymore. We want more people in the hobby, but we're not putting out enough in places where people go to get more people into the hobby.
Keeping these products that are popular in stock, the UD Series 1, Series 2, MVP, these ones that your customers like and quite frankly, most hockey collectors like, and it certainly gets them into, like you said, it helps get people into the hobby. How do you do that? I mean, these last few years we've had Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews and other guys who have been, high dollar rookie cards. How do you keep these products in stock as a shop owner?
For me, most of it is I just bought a lot when it came out. For me, I kind of got, what year was it? So 2013-14 was my first year with non-lockout that I purchased Upper Deck Series 1 for my store. And I brought in hobby boxes, I think probably about 2 or 3 cases. And then the tins, I think I brought in about 84 tins. So what is that, 7 or 6 cases, something like that. And I was worried. I was worried that the tins wouldn't sell. When they came out, it's like, I think the price was $35 for Canadian or something like that. I was worried, so I just put 3 for $90. And then a friend of mine, he bought some. But then by Christmas, I think they came out in November. By Christmas, I was sold out. Wow. So I went to another dealer in the city, and I asked if he had any retail tins left, and he had 1 case, so I bought it off him. The next year, because it wasn't the double rookie class, 14-15, there wasn't any big rookies, at least not when the product came out. This went on pre-orders. And then I figured, I'll just order a few cases again, and the distributor will have more available if I need more. Well, Series 2 came around, and within the week in Winnipeg, the hobby product was completely sold out. And retail tins, I had ordered enough. I still have some, but then I realized, wait a minute, I'm going to have to figure out a way just to have this in stock because the distributor is not ordering enough. Upper Deck is going according to pre-orders. I think they're still doing that when they make products. So if we don't pre-order enough, they won't make enough. So 15-16 rolls around, and I bought, I think, 600 or 900 tins, and I'm still working through those. But I started buying more when it came out. I don't rely much anymore on the distributor. They do a great job. There's nothing wrong with the distributor. But their job is just to bring in the product and then get it to us. I can't expect them to have more in the back all the time. And I think there too, going back in time 30, 40 years ago, that was the model of card shops. Card shops were there, two reasons. They weren't, their money didn't come in just from the current product. Their money came from when people came after buying from 7-Elevens and that, and helping people make sets. But the other thing that the old stores did, they would buy lots of it so that when it wasn't the current year anymore, if people wanted to start collecting or go backwards, they would have it in stock, and there was somewhere to get it. Think of all the card shops in the States, the older ones like Kit Young, Fritch. They have lots of older stuff because they bought lots. So I get it like the year that it comes out, and I try to get as much as I can afford, and then hopefully that lasts through years. And obviously before 2012, it's been relying on people that have just come in the store with whatever older boxes, and I just buy them off of them.
Do you think Upper Deck, they have the exclusive and they have to cater to all these different type of collectors? Do you think they make too many products?
I wouldn't necessarily say they make too many products. I just think that a lot of the products are geared towards those who have, what would it be, $150 or more to spend on a box, and that's Canadian. You can do the math when it comes to US dollar, but so I like there's nothing wrong with the amount, the types of cards. It's just that it seems to be now, it's very similar. It's 4 to 7 cards type for $150 or more, or like Artifacts or Trilogy, where you've got 8 packs of 4 cards, so 32 cards in total, where whatever, between $150 and $125 a box. And if you're after set building, you're not buying these anymore to build a set. I think there's the products. My opinion is the more you put out at affordable rate, the more you'll sell. My customers, if they could come into my store every week and have a different product that they spend $30 for a box up to $150, and they can make a whole set, they'll put that kind of money in every week. Kids too. My kids, if there was a product every week that they could buy for $30, they would do it if they can make the set. And there too, they like the inserts and there too. I think when it comes to what's in there, the most popular sets are not based on patch cards, jerseys, and autographs. Upper Deck Series 1 and Series 2, it's about the young gun rookie, most likely. We have the promotion, Tim Hortons restaurant, donut place in Canada. They've done the hockey card set the last 4 years. Those are not based on jerseys, autographs, and patch cards. That's about making sets. And there too, I can't get those. Well, I can get the packs just like my customers can, and that's going to Tim Hortons. The last 4 years, though, I've had customers that have bought in lots of it. I buy their doubles off of them, and then I trade with people as they come in and help them. And the demand to make that set, that to me, you take the set building away from the hobby, and you don't have a hobby. In hockey, from all the other sports, I think that's the one downfall of hockey cards right now, is that it's not set building driven. If you look at the beginning, all the stories about people collecting tobacco cards. I've read stories about kids or even adults hanging out by the drugstore or the store, waiting for people to come out, pre-war obviously, waiting to ask if they could buy the tobacco card off of them to make the set. Set building is the core. If you take set building away from the hobby, you don't have a hobby, or you have a hobby where it becomes about the high expensive cards, and you get speculators and people who are just doing it, opening product to get the expensive card, not to keep it, but to sell it to somebody else. I don't get a lot of those customers here, but I know customers or people in Winnipeg that spend thousands of dollars a week on product, but they don't collect. It's all to get the big cards and then to sell them. They have, and everything else to them is not worth that much. And my kids, if they don't need the cards, my kids would genuinely love to take them off their hands, like the base cards and that, and make sets and just have fun with them. It's hard to do that when you only get 32 cards, though, in a box of Trilogy, let's say. My kids and families love lots of cards, not just a few cards.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. I remember growing up with my whole family. We'd sit there with just piles. I mean, you remember that, piles of the stuff from the 80s and 90s, and it was fun to look at the stats and try to build a set, and look for little errors and things like that.
Yeah.
What percentage of the people coming into your shop are buying just single cards and trying to fill these sets versus the kind of the gamblers and the pack buyers? Do you have a sense of, is it 50-50? Is it more single cards on your end?
Well, when it comes to those who are kind of just trying to get the higher end product just to get the big cards, I don't get a lot of those. Again, I leave that to the other stores. When I opened it, I opened my store not to take customers away from other stores. Is to build a new customer base of children, families, those who are not in the hobby. So the percentage-wise, I would say at least 90% of the people that come into my store are either buying singles or affordable products. Like even there, the amount of the current product, like Trilogy Artifacts, SP Game Used, comes out tomorrow. I brought that in, but I feel really bad for this, but I do that for the business per side of my store. I'm doing that just because I know that some will want that, and the money that I can make off that helps pay the bills. That's the reason that I bring it in. I know that those who will buy that are after just the big hit, and they'll try to sell it. So they're just purely gambling. And I would say most people that buy that are doing that. Not everyone. I don't want to get people upset at that, but a lot of people are buying that just to gamble. But I bring that in just for the business. When it comes to retail boxes, Series 1, Series 2, that I bring in for the hobby. And I know it will sell because I promote the hobby here. When people come in and they comment too, it's like when they come into my store, I'm not after their money. I'm not trying to empty their wallet. If you get a card that you need and it's only 25 cents, but you needed it for your set that you've been working on or wanting for like 20 years, I'm happy with you and for you that you found that card. Like, to me, it's truly about the hobby. I think when we put the hobby first, then the money will come if you're after the money. Like, I would say that to the players associations too. If you want more money, revenue, and the leagues too, put the hobby first and then do the money. If you put the hobby first, the money will come. I'm convinced that we can have another boom in the hobby like we did in the 90s. And one thing that happened in the 90s, and it goes back to what you were about all the card manufacturers. Like, we've got this exclusive license now. Back in 1988, Score came on the scene. Score was you had Topps, Donruss, and Fleer. Then Score comes on. Score was the first splash, and then you got Upper Deck, and then you got Pro Set, then you get like all these other companies. That helped the boom when you had more manufacturers making cards. There were more licenses. What would have happened back then had there been exclusives? I don't know, but it's a question that I think we have to ask. What could have happened? Would we be in the same boat as we are today? I don't know. Anyway, that's. I like to look at if we don't look at the history of cards, then we can't get a sense of where we're at and where we can go, or where we don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to this card collecting. Lots of my customers left the hobby back in 1993 because it was too hard to make sets, the insert sets. And I hear that story over and over and over again. They still wanted to collect. It was never about not wanting to collect. It was that they just couldn't afford making all the insert sets.
Yeah, we're in a very interesting time in the hobby because, like you said, going back to the tobacco era, cards were a promotional product or a very, very
Yeah,
affordable product in a lot of cases. And literally, we're talking about only in the last 20 years have we started talking about serial numbers and autographs and patch cards and one of one. Such a small window of time when the history of cards spans back into the 1800s. So I hope that the stewards of this, the license owners and the upper decks and the PA and the players associations, I hope they're making the right choice by going down this road of making these super exclusive high end products. But like you said, history, there's not a whole lot of history that suggests it will. Certainly the economy in the United States and maybe a little bit in Canada is doing well and can kind of foster these more expensive products. But long term certainly remains to
yeah.
be seen. How far in advance are you calling somebody like Universal Distribution? You said you ordered 900 tins of this stuff. How far in advance are you ordering this stuff? Are you fronting all the money up front? Is it something you pay for over time? How are you kind of financing these products that you need a lot of and you need to keep in stock?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I said it before. I didn't mean it. It was 900 tins, not cases of tins. So
Okay.
sorry if I said that. But a lot. I think it was in 2015 when I saw. I was skeptical of how well Connor McDavid, like his cards would do, and that was probably 2 years previous. It was Nathan McKinnon, won the double rookie class. What's the other one's name? Yakupov.
Right.
So I didn't know how big McDavid would be because we're in Winnipeg and McDavid plays with Edmonton, and there's still that hate for Edmonton in Winnipeg because of what they did to us many years in the playoffs in the 80s. But sorry, let me get back here to my thoughts. Anyway, right, I didn't know how much I should order. So I didn't order a lot of hobby, but tins, I just got a line of credit. My credit
Okay.
union, I asked them, I explained to them what was happening, and already I had been in business for a few years. Anytime that I asked for something, even when I started my business, I asked them for a loan. I gave them a plan, and they saw it was detailed, so they trusted me. And then in 2015, I asked for a line of credit. That's how I got as much as I got in. And they trusted me again. And then a few years ago, the building I'm in went through some major renovations. I actually had to close for 4.5 months. And in a way, that's a whole nother story. But that really hurt me. And I had to basically, in the last year and a half, rebuild. It's been a restart here. But even there, I right before I had to close for that period of time, I got another loan, and that was again to help with getting some more of the more product in. Now where it stands is I'm back to where I can, like, what I order. I can order as much as I do, or start to order more again, but I can do that because I have stuff from previous years that people want. I don't have to depend just on current product to make ends meet. And there too, anything that walks in my store, if I can agree on a price with the person that brought it in, I'll buy it. And that too helps with the money flow here. So I'm not relying, like tomorrow, SD Game Used comes out. If I sell through tomorrow, that would be absolutely amazing. But I don't have to do that because I've got other customers that are going to come in. They've reserved a case of 2016-17 SP Authentic Hockey, which I still have in stock. So I sell that, and that's going to help pay for the current stuff. So to me, the most successful shops in Winnipeg, like over the years, and I'm not just talking sports, but in collectibles, the ones that have been most successful are the ones that have been buy a lot of the collections that come in from private collectors. I think like Baseball Card Exchange, I've talked to them briefly, but not necessarily on this, but I think one reason that they've done so well is that they don't base everything on current product. They buy the older stuff, and obviously they don't buy everything. They have specifics that they know will sell, and it allows them to get to the point where I think any collection, if they find a collection from $2 million full of 52 tops, let's say, they can do it because they're specific. They've grown their audience, and they've grown to a point where they've got the connections that they could sell through 52 tops if they would have that kind of find, you know. But it's current product. I can't depend, at least at this store, I don't depend. If I bring it in, I'm not worried. Like I don't have to sell through. Whereas I think a lot of customers in other sports too, in the States, even in Canada, if you have a run of, let's say, 5 or 6 products that would do horribly, I think you'd see a lot more shops closing because they've started to rely just on the current product rather than the older stuff as well. And let me just say one more thing about that, and it's a bit I guess on the same topic. We have an AHL hockey team here too, the Manitoba Moose.
Okay.
Last week I set up at one of their games. I bought a promotional package to sell cards. I sold more 90s boxes there, hockey, than current hockey product. There was far more conversation. I had 90-91 Upper Deck series box there, and a Pro Set box from 91-92, and Score from 90-91. Way more conversation, way more activity talking about that, not only to adults, but to children. It wasn't only adults that bought that stuff. Children were actually buying unopened boxes of 90s stuff. They were selling better than the retail product of Upper Deck hockey at the Moose game. That has to say something. Some weeks I sell more 90s stuff, or even up to, let's say, 2006 of hockey, than I do of the current product. 90s stuff isn't junk. It's affordable, and it gets people back into the hobby, and people still love it. We can't diss or say bad things about the 90s stuff. It's there too. I get people in here, they get into that, and then they get into whatever, buying other stuff. They see a patch card, it's like, oh, that's cool, you know. So we can't. There's something about how we did things in the 90s, the manufacturers. There is something. I think we need to revisit that. Yeah, you know, let's not think we have to start from scratch.
I hope so, and I hope the card manufacturers look to one of the most popular collectible sets that gets made is the Panini World Cup soccer stickers and their soccer brand, which I think is 5 stickers for less than $1 or less in most countries. So it's possible to make, and I hope Card Tops and Panini and the American companies realize it's possible to make an affordable product that I know adults that collect that set. I know adults that order their 50-pack sticker box in advance and put that together. And shoot, you've got to buy, I think, 4 or 5 boxes of that generally to put the whole World Cup set together. So you're spending $300-400, but people don't mind that because it's enjoyable. You can trade. There's meetups. There's a buddy of mine in Seattle does meetups where people trade their stickers. And like you said, it can. Maybe it's a gateway to buying more expensive products or getting into UD Series 1 or some of the newer products. So I hope that, you know, I asked the Upper Deck guys about making affordable products, and, you know, they kind of said, well, we don't, you know, they kind of don't make any money off of it. I counter that the most popular collectible thing that gets made are the World Cup soccer stickers, and Panini makes, according to most reports, makes a boatload off those. So there's something there. It's getting, you know, like you said, getting these things distribution. Tim Hortons, where you guys are, helps a lot, you know, selling those packs and getting affordable cards into people's hands. Shops like you getting, you know, affordable cards into people's hands. Do you also sell on eBay or Checkout Cards? You know, I know you do shows and you have your shop.
I like that. I think part of the reason is, I do everything. I don't do online sales. And one reason is just that I think it's hurt stores. Whereas if people can find a shop that has what they want, they'll continue to do that. And for me, yes, I would make more money if I did online. I would also help the economy because I'd have to hire people to do that. I have enough problems just keeping up with the people that come into my store and helping them with what they need. So online sales, like, there's nothing wrong with it. I just choose not to because I see that as something that has hurt the hobby. I think if more guys, especially in the States, I think you're closer. There's more towns, and cities that are closer, or suburbs that are closer together. I just read something last week with one guy. He said he's lucky if he can find a card shop 100 miles from him.
Yep.
I think that especially those, like, the only reason that I could start my store was because I had my old, like, cards, like about 1 million cards of, like, older product. I would say to all those who are thinking of starting a store and say we don't have what we need, we can't get the current products, like, don't let that be an excuse. Open a store. It doesn't have to be 7 days a week. I think there's one close to St. Louis. I think it's called Show Me Collectibles.
Okay.
I think the hours on he's not open all the time. But from what I see on his Instagram account, he's still buying and he's still helping people in the hobby. But I think the more of us that just make physical cards available, even at a flea market, start at a flea market. Then, and there too, again, nothing wrong with online sales, but if you want a card right away, and especially an older card, you want to inspect it to make sure that it's what you want. Let's get more stores. You don't need to have the current product necessarily. It helps, but there's so many cards, and as soon as you put them out, if they're just sitting in your closet, they're making you nothing. Put them out and see what happens. Let's get more shops going again.
Speaking of online sales, how has Upper Deck e-Pack impacted your business?
I've lost customers. I think there's a bunch. When e-Pack started, customers of mine would go on there, get a few packs, and they would get, especially like products that, like Compendium, they would buy that instead of spending their money here. Last year, there was a guy who started doing more of e-packs, so he would buy about half, like, physical cards, like Upper Deck Series 1 and 2, and then half online. This year, he just did e-packs, so I've lost him when it comes to new product, or at least unopened boxes. I haven't seen him since November. I used to see him at least once a month, and he, too, has a few nephews that he collects with. I don't see them anymore. When I was at the Toronto Sport Card Expo, I talked to one guy there. He's a big buyer. He bought, I think, 10 cases or so of CFL football, like physical, and then 10 on e-packs. And if he would have bought those through a store, whatever store it would have helped. We would have made about $3,000 profit off of that type of thing. So it hurts us. I think the other thing too is that the one thing I don't like about it is that there's cards that are exclusive to e-packs, and I would love it that customers could have those, that I could have them in stock here, and I wouldn't have to open e-packs or trade things in on e-pack to have them. I listened to the interview that you did with Upper Deck, and I like the rationale of e-packs in that it's around the world. People are opening these. So for advertising cards, I think it's great. But I would also state then it's like, okay, you've got that going. Now what are you doing to get card shops in all these? I think they said 160 countries that e-packs is. Or people have been opening packs in, then work at getting card shops in these places too. When you don't put an emphasis on the card shops, the other part of the hobby, it's not just the cards, it's the social part of it. when you just get people doing online stuff, they miss the trading. They miss. I remember as kids, my cousins would come over. We'd trade cards for probably or stickers for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'd do other stuff like play hockey or whatever, and we leave the cards or stickers, and then we'd go back to them. But it was something that we looked forward to. Like, that was the first thing. I couldn't wait till my cousins came over so we could trade. When you do the e-pack thing, you can trade online, but you don't see the people. And it's the people. You need that physical connection. I've got guys in here that come in, whatever, they might spend a few bucks here and there, but they come in because they used to collect. And then every so often they find a set at, like, let's say, a flea market that's not complete. Then they come in here and spend major bucks finishing off their set. They can't do that on e-pack. It's not the hobby. It's not just the cards. It's the people. That's some of my greatest memories of cards are the people that I've met through it. Like, even there, I've heard of you before, and like Sport Card Radio. But to me, the ultimate would be go to the National Sports Card Convention or major shows where you guys are, and see you face to face and be able to talk to you. It's cards that have kind of brought us together, but it's the community, it's the friendships, and there too. I think even last week, someone that was in the part of putting the convention on for years, he passed away, and we don't remember what he collected. He was a human being. He was a friend to many people. It's greater than cards. I've had customers that have passed on. One of my friends, 3 years ago, he died. He was 45 years old. I don't miss the money that he spent here. I miss him. The conversations that we had, not only about cards, but a family. Maybe one reason, this might be taking a long shot here, but maybe one reason why we have so much more depression and mental issues in North America is because we're not doing as much with cards. My family, we would do pack wars, upper deck style, where we open a few packs. That becomes your deck, and then you ask questions about the cards, like how many guys are wearing red helmets, or the stats on the back. And my whole family, my two oldest, 17 and 16 years old, they'll play, and they'll put down their iPods or devices, whatever you call them, and play the game. They're interacting with people, and it's a blast. And those are the types of things when you're by yourself and you're at a computer. And you find something that you fixate on that's depressing, that can spiral down a long way. I want people to come to my store and not only look at cards, but interact. Sometimes you get people who just found out they had cancer that come into my store, or they just got engaged, or they had a baby, all that kind of stuff. So to me, this is about cards, but there's so much more, and that comes out as we collect in the physical world, not just through e-packs and computer stuff. And again, you can do it. It's fun. Whatever, 1 o'clock in the morning, there's probably not many people up, so you won't need something to do. Go on e-packs, do online sales, whatever. That's fine. But that element of people, that's why people go to card shows. Sometimes it's just to meet people. They might not have any money, but it's just to come and see the people who are hanging out and have fun for a few hours.
Yeah, I mean that's really why I'm still in the hobby. I don't buy a whole lot of cards, and I kind of grew up working in a hobby shop, and like you said, it kind of talking to you brings back a lot of good memories about the people that would come into the hobby shop, and I can't really remember what they collected or what they bought, except for maybe certain specific cards, but it was the conversation we had, it was the characters that they were, and I hope that with e-pack, Upper Deck is able to, kind of involve the hobby shop more, or somehow get them more involved with people who are getting exposed to hockey cards through e-pack. I think there are ways to do it. Whether it be, I'd love to see Upper Deck. You had to go to a bank to take out a line of credit to purchase some of these products. I don't know why Upper Deck and these distributors can't get more involved with financing some of these business operations for people who have. You've been involved in the hobby and had a store for over 7 years now, and certainly can prove that you run a trustworthy business. So I'd love to see Upper Deck take maybe some of their profits or take some of their success from EPAC and filter that down onto the store. And I proposed the tax. The president of Upper Deck, he said, the model isn't made for cutting anybody in. I really should have interrupted and said, nobody's getting cut in. We're charging the EPAC customer a tax above and beyond after everybody's already got cut in. If they're within 10 miles of lower level sports cards and collectibles and they're buying compendium packs in Winnipeg, Canada, you should get a percentage of that sale, being that you fostered the community, the collecting community down there. You and the other 10 shops in Winnipeg have a huge impact on the growth and the sustainability of the hobby there in Winnipeg. Again, I could tee off all day on this, and yet you have to go to a bank to get a line of credit to sell these tins that you're going to be able to sell. I mean, they're in a hot rookie year. You're going to be able to sell UD1, Series 1, Series 2 products. So, Mike, before I blow my lid here, how can people, it sounds like, I had a hobby shop. I worked in a hobby shop. It becomes quite a family, the people that come in there. How can people kind of become a part of your family up in Winnipeg? Where can they find you? Give me a shout, your social media shout too. And if they're in Winnipeg, give me your address. Where exactly can people find you?
Well, I'll give my physical address first. It's 189 Henderson Highway in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So if you ever come to Winnipeg, I invite you to come to my store. And it's called Lower Level for two reasons. First reason is you always want to be in the lower level to get all the action at a game. And the second reason is I'm actually in the lower level of a building. So Lower Level Sports Cards. On Facebook, just look up Lower Level Sports Cards and Collectibles. Twitter, my handle is Lower Level. Instagram, it's a bit more confusing. Winnipeg _sports _cards, cards _store. There comes my not being computer savvy. And there too, if you're not in Winnipeg, I post as much as I can, but basically at 12 I post, and if it's a busy day, I'm not going to post till the evening or the next day. But if you ever have any questions or whatever, you can also call me at 204-421-1299. I love the hobby. I love talking the hobby. But if you do call and it's during store hours, my customers that are in the store, I need to work with them and help them. And just one, and I should just say too. So when it comes to Upper Deck, they do have a program where they help the stores. I think it's up to a certain amount with the distributor. But the one thing that I don't like about it is that if you get that, then you have to show the name Upper Deck more. Their picture of their logo, and which is fine. But if I want people to come to my store for my store, and there's more than just Upper Deck in the hobby. There's Tops, there's Panini. We'll help them make more money if we sell more of them. But I want to promote my store and what the store is about rather than just one company. So they do have a program. It's just some things about the program that I would not go into because of their approach. It's about Upper Deck. I want it to be about the hobby first. Let's help each other network and work together to make this hobby as good as it can be.
Yeah, you're a tremendous ambassador for the hobby. That's why I had you on the show. You also helped me with the interview that I did with Jason and Chris last week with Upper Deck. So I want to just thank you for that. We'll have to do this again sometime, and we'll have to dive deeper into some of these topics. I wanted to kind of cover a lot of things, but why don't we maybe when it's not 50 below zero in Winnipeg, maybe it warms up a little bit. We'll have to talk again sometime.
Sure. That sounds fantastic. And I just want to say, too, I love what you do for the hobby and the questions that you bring up. I think it's important that we question stuff, whether it be if it's questioning the right things or the wrong things. If we don't question things in the hobby or anything, we don't get anywhere. So I really appreciate what you do, and thank you for doing what you do for the hobby. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. The check's in the mail. Why I had you read your address so that I can fill out the check that I just mailed to you. So look for that in a few. Well, it takes a little while from Arizona to Canada. It might take a couple weeks. So look for that in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Mike. We'll talk soon, buddy.
All right. Thanks.